Life so very much is not a fairy tale, and furthermore, it sometimes goes out of its way to prove just how unfairy tale-like it can be. Hi everyone! As you can tell from this video's title, I'm only going to review one series that I read this month because Donovan, that's my husband, and I are traveling almost all month, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get to read another series and finish it. Again, from the title you can tell that the series I'm going to review is called Daughter of Smoke and Boom by Laini Taylor. So reading the first book, I started out not truly liking it because the writing style is a little different than what I'm used to. But going through the trilogy, by the end of the third book, I was completely in love. This is a young adult fantasy trilogy that has a new take on angels versus demons. And I'm personally not into religion at all. I don't like to discuss it, I don't like to hear about it, and I certainly don't like to read about it. And before I say anything else, I'm not against religions, it's just not a topic that I like to touch. So when my friend Amanda recommended that I read these books, I was really reserved and I didn't think that I would like it. But like I said, it's a completely new take on what you think you know. The plot is rather simple, but trying to put it into words is really hard. So I'm going to do my best to summarize the plot and explain to you what this book is about. The first novel introduces our main character, a 17-year-old girl named Karu, who's an art student in Prague. And at first, Karu seems to be a typical teenager, except that she has blue hair that grows that way, and her family, who she affectionately refers to as monsters, collect teeth. These monsters are the only creatures she's ever known that have taken care of her, therefore she sees them as her family. The main monster character, if you will, his name is Brimstone, and because she's the only one that can go around the human world not attracting any sort of attention, he takes care of her by giving her large sums of money that help her survive, but she has to go on these errands finding teeth for him. And apart from these four monsters she's grown up with, she doesn't know anything about their world or what they're doing with the teeth. But Karu goes on with her life every day feeling a deep, deep sense of loneliness, and she just can't get rid of it. She knows there's more out there for her than the life she's currently leading, but she can't access it and she doesn't know what it is. It's just this deep sense of needing to do more with her life. Something out there is waiting for her. So of course we need some sort of romance in this story, and through the first half of the book comes an Akiva who's an angel, and his mission in life is to destroy Brimstone, to close the portals to this other world, which Karu doesn't even know what it's called. She just refers to it as elsewhere. And so Akiva goes closing all these portals, and all of a sudden Karu is losing her family, her sense of purpose, because now she can't get a hold of them, she can't reach them, she doesn't know what happened to them. And Akiva goes on this mission to destroy her as well because she was connected to the demons. The two main characters are super relatable, from Karu's identity search to her loneliness to her deep feeling of needing to belong. Obviously, the relationship between Karu and Akiva grows and they get to understand each other, and it kind of turns into this Romeo and Juliet where they're from two different families, two different races in this case, and they're just not allowed to be together. And this is not a spoiler because you learn it rather quickly into the book, but there's a really big resemblance to Underworld Rise of the Lycans, where the demons really are slaves to the angels, and that's where the war erupted between them. So between the Romeo and Juliet and Underworld Rise of the Lycans type of deal, I didn't think the plot was really all that creative up until the very end, where the entire plot takes a huge twist and you just don't see it coming. Overall, I really enjoyed the first book. There was a lot of teenage love angst, which I'm a really big sucker for. It was a really enjoyable, entertaining read. I only grew to like these books more and more as I read them. Like, I liked the first one, then I really liked the second one, and I loved the third one. And in the second novel, the story is no longer innocent and all rainbows and butterflies, and the focus is no longer on the main characters getting to know each other. It's much more mature, it's much more real and raw. There's fury, there's rage, there's grief, there's so many stronger emotions. The plot has also taken a huge twist, so what you thought was going to happen in the first book has nothing to do with the second one. There is also huge character development in this second novel. Akiva goes through this change where he no longer wants to be the way he was raised to be, and he kind of has this snowball effect with his siblings, and there were parts that were so suspenseful. I was holding my breath, kind of tearing up, imagining myself in his position. And I found myself kind of screaming at Karou, wanting to sort of just shake her and ask her what the hell she thinks she's doing and why is she behaving this way. I still love her character, even though you just kind of want to slap her around a little bit. Then you kind of have to realize you're reading a young adult novel, so obviously the character is a teenager, she's gonna act like a teenager. The third installment just made me fall in love with this series. It was so good, it was dark, there was so much more emotions and real raw emotions out of these pages. I love the dynamic between Karou and Akiva, but I gotta say that in this series, the main characters were not my favorite characters, but Karou's human friends were. And from the very first book, you get this dynamic between Susanna and Karou and their deep love and affection towards each other, and they're just more than they're friends, they're family, and the way it's depicted in these pages is really true to what it is like to have a best friend that you feel is family. And in every book, the story becomes less and less childish, which was my fear with the whole angel versus demons topic. There's also awesome quotes. For example, this one. Hope can be a powerful force. When you know what you hope for most and hold it like light within you, you can make things happen almost like magic. I've been raving about this book for a little bit now, even though I give the first two books a 3 out of 5 on Goodreads, and the third book I give a 4 out of 5. Here's what really bothered me about this series: the writing style. Metaphors and similes are used in practically every other sentence. And I like descriptions, but I don't like having to jump through hoops to envision something, anything. It's almost like the author didn't know how to make her writing elegant, so she keeps using these metaphors and similes over and over again, and it just bothered me so much. It felt like the pages were too long. Everything was just so long to imagine, to envision, and it just kind of ruined it for me for a little bit. I just thought it made it harder to imagine than needed to be. I liked the plot, I liked the characters, I did not like the writing, which overall is not that big a deal because a lot of people have different tastes than I do. So I definitely recommend that you read these books. They were really quite entertaining. It was a new take. I did not expect the ending to be that way, and I had a really good time reading it. So this is it for this review. If you liked the video, please click like and subscribe to the channel. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get to read any more books this month or even get to do another review because my husband and I are traveling through France, where we're currently located, before we move back to America. And it should be the last time that you have a blank background. I should be doing May's video in front of a nice library, even though it won't be mine yet. But I'm glad to be coming back to America, where we have Barnes and Nobles and stuff like that. And I'm one step closer to getting my own library going again. Yay! Alright guys, I'll talk to you soon. Bye!